Blog Talk Radio.
Your balls are showing.
There are two types of balls. There are big braid balls, and there are little meat balls. Dicks have drive and clarity of vision.
The most important piece of equipment is called the cup. Now, it ain't no Dixie cup, and it ain't no coffee mug. And you certainly won't want to be drinking nothing out of it.
Hey, any balls down there? That's the biggest berry you ever seen, Dingleberry.
Wow, I play with these balls all day.
Well, it's my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday edition, Week 5 of Big Balls Fantasy Football here on the GRR Greg REIFSTECK Radio Network. This evening, we'll be recapping a very controversial Week 4 in fantasy and NFL football. We give you breakout surprises, players that were not drafted in most leagues or drafted in the late rounds that have become well-scoring players that need to be in your lineup every single week. We give you waiver wire wackiness, the bye-week wonders edition of who should or shouldn't you jump on to hold you over while your vets sit on the bench this week. We, of course, give you our patented balls-to-the-wall injury report. And Thursday Night Football, why it sucks, why it's killing us in fantasy football. It already consumes our lives, but now we have to worry about the injury reports earlier. We barely have any turnaround time with our lineups. Is this driving every single one of you owners crazy like it's driving us crazy? And, of course, we'll discuss the worst and most controversial ref call in Monday Night Football history and possibly football history with JENILEE, our Big Balls Genius Emeritus, and we'll also go into some of her picks this week. Finally, the Balls Challenge that Prost and I have been doing every week, picking our Balls teams every week to show you how you should be drafting. If you're listening online, feel free to join us in the chat room or call in and talk about fantasy football with us at 646-716-7132. If you can't listen to us streaming, call that number. Listen to us live on the phone line. Also, you can tweet us during the show at BigBallsFBall. You can also reach us on Big Balls Fantasy Football on Facebook by just typing in Big Balls Fantasy Football. We're the only ones there. So, without any further wasting of time, Prost, you there, buddy?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, this is Greg REIFSTECK. This is Neil GOFORTH, better known as Prost. We're the co-hosts here on Big Balls Fantasy Football. So, the first question I have to ask you, Neil, is, of course, scabs. Do you have any scabs that have been bothering you lately?
No, not. Oh, you mean like work replacement? Yeah, well, at my real job, that's going to be happening too. But that's beside the point. Yeah, these guys, and everyone said, "Oh, this is going to be the call that changes the NFL, gets them talking." Until it actually costs the NFL money, they're not honestly going to care. And every referee has made mistakes. Ed Hockley, probably the most famous referee, done numerous Super Bowls. Cost the Chargers a game. I think it was 2 years ago against Denver.
But I know. Did we ever think we were going? Did we ever think we were going to actually look forward to seeing Ed Hockley on the field ever again after blowing stuff like that? I mean, this was kind of a little more – at least he's a pro with years of experience. This guy, I mean, the people that are out there now are high school level refs.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it's not that call. Forget the fact that because Green Bay was denied the interception, I lost the fantasy games. I didn't get my 2 points for the pick. And my defense lost points because Seattle scored 6 more. That's completely beside the point. trying to put a nice smile on this. They have no control of the game. You got players fighting on the field, and calls missed because it's away from the ball, so no one's really watching it.
I've never seen so many fights.
Like, are you kidding me?
I've never seen so many fights, Prost, and I've never seen such long games drawn out. It's like they're looking back into the rule book or something. It's completely ridiculous.
And holding calls are up because they're trying to prove the fact that they actually can manage a game. So they throw out the holding flags that are at an immensely larger rate than it ever has been in the past. And it was an old Madden line from one of his games. You can call holding on every play.
Yeah.
And so
that's what they're doing, unfortunately, and it's making the games go really, 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 really long. And there's this. I think this boils down to about 3 points we want to make here. And the first one I know you want to make is it shouldn't have even come down to this in this game. And I'll bring up the first reason. The wrong pass interception call plays before that where it should have been offensive pass interference. And if that would have been made, this all would have been a moot point. But then there's the little Aaron Rodgers point I think you would like to make as a Packer fan.
I blanked out on all those. I ignored it, dude. I can't watch that play. I watched it 30 times Monday night.
No, I'm just talking about the way Aaron Rodgers played in the first half.
Oh yeah, the text I sent you. Yeah, it is internet, but I basically throw the effing ball in all caps. He's hanging on to the thing, running around. He could have avoided a lot of sacks, and it gets down to the fact that the referee blew the play. They blew several plays in the game. They've blown plays throughout the games. The professional refs are going to blow calls. When they come back and they're rusty, the first thing they're under the microscope. Referees have been known for making bad decisions. But you look at, like, boxing when it comes down to the scorecard. You look at anything like that. Never let the referee decide the game. Go out, dominate the game, knock the guy's teeth out, get a good 2-score lead going into the end of the game. That way you don't have Tampa Bay's coach telling his guys to knock your teeth out when it's a kneel-down play because the game is essentially over because it's not a one-possession game anymore. Take it to your opponent, kick his ass, and that play should never have even come up. Seattle should have been sitting down licking their wounds by the middle of the fourth quarter. I agree with you, man.
I was one of those people that picked Aaron Rodgers in the first round in one of my drafts over, thank goodness I took Arian Foster and most of the others that I had earlier picks if I had a first pick. But he has turned, I never thought we'd have to ever say the possible words this early in the season. He truly might be a fantasy football bust. We're
going to find out this week.
Yeah. But
he's at San Francisco's defense, the Bears' defense, and these guys in Seattle. Those are not slouch pass defenses. Now he's got New Orleans, which essentially has no defense, and they should be chomping at the bit, pissed off, ready to just rip the head off anything that steps out on a Lambeau Field. So if Rodgers does not perform well this week, then you think about benching him.
Oh yeah. Let's go to the phone lines. JENILEE, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, how you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh man, I think we were all texting each other during this travesty of a call. We've brought up some points on it. What you have any other additional points you want to add about this ridiculous call by these scab refs in a very important Monday Night Football game?
Yes, I think that we've all established the point that the call was definitely wrong. I think had they taken a little bit of time to talk it over, had the main ref gone over, and had they taken a moment to just discuss it, I think they would have gotten the call right. Because we're seeing that in other games where they're, taking a second and talking about it a little bit. And even though as a fan it might be frustrating because we're impatient, I think we'd rather have the calls be right, even if it takes a moment. So I think they needed to just settle down, not feel the pressure from the crowd and the players, and discuss it. And I think it would have been right. And, I think basically that's all we want. We're understanding that they're not the regular refs, but, they need to get the calls right, and especially when, it's the difference in a game. I think one thing that hasn't been discussed as much because we're, talking about the refs and the call is the fact that Seattle's defense, they did play very, very well. Green Bay is a team that averages 33 points a game, and they were held to 12 points a game. So, that is one thing that if Seattle's defense hadn't played like that and Green Bay had, scored more points, that last play wouldn't have, it wouldn't have called the game, basically.
Yeah, that's the first thing that a lot of people thought of when this call was made and all this crap went down. Seattle's defense was insane in this game, and they've been playing great all season, and that's going to be completely forgotten because the image that's going to be in everybody's mind, and we're just as guilty up on our Facebook page as the guy holding up his hand saying touchdown and the other guy saying touchback. So it's unfortunately what this game is going to be known as. But as Neil and I discussed off the air, yes, it has fantasy football implications. Yes, rather, it's going to start having it even more if the integrity of the game keeps getting put into question because of these refs, and thank goodness they're hopefully in talks. Allegedly they're in talks. But let's move on to what other subjects we are going to talk about today. Basically, there have been a lot of – let's get in – Neil, you want to go into the surprises or do you want to go into the busts?
I'm having a hard time finding surprises. I'm watching, NFL Network, and this is your waiver wire guy and everything. It's a different guy every week. We've had nothing but one-hit wonders. The only guy that's done anything to speak of would be RG3, and he was supposed to be that way. He was drafted in every draft I was in. He went mid-round, but he was in every draft he got drafted. Luck didn't, surprisingly enough. You've got Brown running in New York like a madman. Everyone's on the Andre Brown train, but injured Bradshaw's coming back. So now you're going to lose him as a primary. They're going to have a two-headed beast out there in New York, which makes neither one of those guys valuable until Bradshaw gets hurt again.
Oh, gee, that's never happened out there in New York, has it?
No.
Every season it seems like this happens, and it's all because of Bradshaw. Have you had any surprise players that you drafted in later rounds, generally, that have busted out for you?
Not so much my players, but Torrey Smith was taken pretty late in our draft, and he's doing a really good job so far, and I think that I would say against Cleveland tomorrow night, he should be a phenomenal start. So I would be shocked if people have him and don't start him. Another person that was taken late that hasn't done a ton, but I think might do a little bit more this week is the tight end from Tennessee, Jared Cook. They're playing the Texans, and Tennessee's offensive line is just really having problems. Walker doesn't have time to throw, so I think, he's going to concentrate on hitting Cook, the tight end, with a lot of short passes, so that might be an option.
That's a good one. I have a few, and if anybody actually drafted any of these in the later rounds, lucky for you. Some of these I know went mid. Alfred Harris, the running back in Washington, has been going insane. I know I got my ass kicked by him last week by one of the teams I was playing. Quarterback Andy Dalton. Did anybody draft him? And that's listening out there? Hello. This guy has been taken off too. And whoever thought that everybody took Gronk, but Heath Miller at tight end has more touchdowns than if you took Gronk right now. So those are the ones I'm throwing out there. I see another caller on the line. We have Cash calling in from Dallas. Let's join him in here.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. I'm hanging in there.
Don't forget
what a week.
Don't forget to say hi to JENILEE too now.
Hi.
Hey JENILEE, how's it going?
Good, it's good.
Well, what a week, guys.
Yeah, you're telling us. We've already beaten the ESPN horse dead on the call. So I'm sure you were listening. Do you have any breakout people that were in your league or that you had on any of your teams that have just busted out surprisingly that you took?
I do have a couple people to mention. And by the way, I do have a little different perspective on that game Monday night, but only if time allows, we can get into that later. But yeah, Dennis. I think his name is Dennis Pita from it's at the Ravens or. Actually, the Baltimore tight end. He's been a pretty good pickup lately, and Andrew Hawkins, a guy I actually mentioned 2 weeks ago to you guys from Cincinnati. He actually had like a 55-yard touchdown or something like that. I think he's going to be pretty good as well. Those are the ones that come right to mind. And if you're looking for a quarterback, Jake Locker had a pretty good week last week, and he's on his way up, and depending on how bad Stafford is, and of course it's always a little bit questionable with his injury history. Sean Hill had a great performance, came out for a minute and a half and had 2 touchdowns, so he may be somebody to keep in mind because all the other offensive threats remain intact for Detroit.
Yeah, he'll be a good person to pick up off the waiver wire. But yeah, I think let's flip the coin a little bit now. So I'm an Aaron Rodgers owner, Neil. What the hell's? Yeah, okay. So Cash and I, JENILEE, do you have him in any of your leagues?
Rodgers?
Yeah.
I don't personally own him now.
Lucky you, because Cash and I have a bone to pick with Mr. Come on, Mr.
Really?
Green Bay. What's with your offense here, man?
Well, I touched on briefly before. You had Frisco's defense, the Bears' defense is very familiar with him, and Seattle's defense, which we found out is no big slouch. And it's the thing that it was a mantra of mine for fantasy years. I got over and I forgot about. There's no tape on this guy. Why does he go out and shine? Because no one has his tendencies. No one's figured him out yet. And that's why you've got Cam Newton struggling this year, because last year he surprised people. This year they've had a year to study tape on him. They've had a year to study tape on Rodgers. Everyone wanted to figure out how to get an offense to score 35 points a year, so they watched the offense. And the defensive coordinators said, I'm not going to be embarrassed. And they watched the tape, and they figured it out. They're taking away that deep ball, forcing Rodgers to throw underneath. Personally, they waited till halftime to get Benson involved in the game. You saw the difference once Benson started running the ball.
Yep.
Seattle, what did they have? Maybe a sack or 2 in the second half versus 6 in the first quarter. So if they can get Benson involved in the game, it will keep the pressure off Rodgers. And when he's on his feet, he'll be able to throw. It's kind of hard to throw when you're laying on your back. So we'll see how that works out for him. But, yeah, I definitely see an improvement coming with the Packers. And, like I said, if they don't take it to New Orleans this week just out of spite because they happen to be the next man up, that it's like going home and kicking your dog. You got a chance to beat someone up. They're not going to let New Orleans off lightly. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah,
I mean, discussion next week.
He's taken Jermichael Finley down the toilet with him too. I'm jammed up with him as well. JENILEE, tell us about who else is turning into a fantasy football bust, and I know you'll agree with me on this. Our own Bears quarterback, Jay Cutler. What the heck's going on with this guy? We've been watching him every week.
Yeah, I just think, we're seeing what happened last year with Cutler, at least in the beginning of the year. the offensive line is just they're not playing very good. I know they're starting to make some changes on the line, so he's just not having time. And, it doesn't matter how good your receivers are or your running backs. If your line won't hold, you really can't do anything. So I think we're going to start to see an improvement on that. But, I don't think we're going to be an offense. We're not going to score 40 points a game. And I think people that, are expecting that, it's not going to happen. So I actually dropped Cutler in my league. I picked
Me
up
too.
Dalton.
Yes,
I did. I picked up Dalton, especially, he plays Jacksonville this week, who ranks 21st in pass defense. And he's been pretty steady. He has weapons to use, and, their offense seems to be in a pretty good rhythm. So I'm going to try him out and see how that works.
I'm with you. I'm with you guys. I took Dalton and threw Cutler down on the waiver wire in one of them, and I picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick because he was the best bet in the other one because he was the best available quarterback. He looked great being reconnected with Brandon Marshall, and it just hasn't gelled. It just hasn't gelled generally. I mean, we've been watching this at the Bears bar. He connects on some of them, and on some of them, Brandon just drops the ball. So
I told you that when you were saying, it's going to be the Bears' breakout year, Marshall's back, and I said, you know what, that's good for one play a game. They're going to get one bomb off in a game if they're lucky. And the thing with Cutler is he can be rattled. If he gets sacked, then his offensive line doesn't know how to block. His receivers drop the ball, he gets mad at them because they ran the wrong route or they can't hang on, or it's never his fault. He gets rattled. I don't know if he presses or collapses, but if you can get inside his head, the Bears are done. It's simple.
I know. It's unfortunate. So let's get into our waiver wire wackiness, man. We'll go around the horn. Prost, let's start with you, dude. Who do you think? And we're doing, of course, this is the first bye week coming up in week 4. Let's get into our bye week edition of waiver wire wackiness. Who should you bring in off the waiver wire to replace one of your vets?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Josh. Hit it.
I mean, if you're looking for, kind of a sleeper, if you need a quarterback, Christian Ponder comes to mind. He's going to be going against a kind of a Detroit defense that gave up 40-plus points. If you, on the other side of the ball, actually, on the other side of the team, actually, it's Nate Burleson, who is also from Detroit. And, if they get Sean Hill or if they get Stafford back, it's going to be a lot of throws in there that he could take advantage of. And if you need a good offensive players, I still in the mindset of looking at New Orleans and Green Bay because they're the most probably one of the and New England because they're probably the most pass happy offenses, and somebody like a James Jones and comes to mind, and you may want to pick up a Robert Meacham who may come in a shootout. Especially I think this week it's going to be I think the game of the week will be the Packers versus New Orleans. Remember, I mean certainly the Packers should be mighty mad, and they're going to go out and throw and perform really well. But keep in mind that New Orleans is now 0-3, and they are hurting, and they need a huge win. So that's going to be very interesting. I mean, whoever comes out on the loss side will be looking at a pretty uphill climb.
Cool. Neil, hit it, man.
Well, I am actually looking at, this is a real reach. I'm sure he's out there. Matt Castle from Kansas City playing against the Chargers. They're in Kansas City, which is a tough place to play. Romeo Crennel, if he gets him inspired, gets him wound up like he should, it's going to be a big day for him because San Diego's defense can stop runners. So Jamal Charles, I don't see him getting his 200-yard game everyone's talking about. That was an anomaly against a poor team. He's going to be a factor, but he's going to allow Castle to throw the ball. So I honestly see, Kansas City taking the air and doing something. But as far as bye weeks in general, though, I love them. I love stealing people. You get these guys that draft one kicker, they draft one defense. Maybe they only draft one tight end. They're all running back and wide receiver heavy. And you get Heath Miller laying out there on the waiver wire. You get Pittsburgh's defense because you're stocked. So you don't have that poor performer. I got Wilson. I was riding him like a pony thinking that he'd be the guy in New York. I kept him on my roster for one reason. When it comes time to drop a D, I'm going to keep my powerhouse D, put him on the bench, drop Wilson, pick up a secondary defense, and I'm going to run them for 1 week based on a matchup. Then when it rolls around, I'm going to drop that defense, see who's out on the waiver wire, get the best available to fill that slot that was Wilson's. Because it's going to be 5-6 weeks down the road. You'll see trends take off. So I love to steal you. If I've got a poor defense, because I got into a bad mix of defense runs, and you're dropping Pittsburgh's defense this week because you have nothing else to do, they're not going to be there when you go back to that waiver wire. I'm grabbing those guys up from under you. You can guarantee that.
Oh, hell yeah. I still couldn't believe I couldn't believe Ryan Matthews in my work league was sitting out on the waiver wire. Somebody couldn't wait out the injury. How many running back you hold the running back. He's going to come back. He's the lead guy there. I know he's injury prone, but come on. He's going to be
Bradshaw look healthy.
Exactly. They're gonna start him in a few weeks. I couldn't believe he was just hanging out there. So there were a few that were hanging out on a few of my waiver wires that I still couldn't believe. Bennett, the tight end in New York, the Giants, he was sitting out there. Grabbed him. That was a steal. And Nate Washington was sitting out there, which isn't a steal, but I think he's going to be some waiver wire gold this week, possibly, especially if Locker finally gets really hot. He has a 26.4 yard per reception average, and I know. I looked up all this stuff. Washington's leading receiving average is due to 2 stunning touchdown grabs he made at 29 and 71 yards in his first 3 games, but he has caught 6 out of Locker's 8 touchdown passes. So he has a good rapport with him. I think it's going to work out. The only other guy I have, and this will lead into JENILEE, who's still hanging out there. You had Daryl Richardson last week, didn't you?
Yes, I had picked him up, but I didn't put him in because Jackson was a go.
You think Jackson's definitely this week? But what was the result of that though? Because how many points did you get out of Jackson?
Not many. I think he only got like 5 points, if I remember correctly. And I think if I kept Richardson just because Steven Jackson's not 100%. He can go down and be out at any time. And Richardson is a very strong rookie. So if you have room, hold on to him. That's
where I was leading. Go give us a few more, JENILEE.
Yeah. Well, I would say LaShore looks like he's going to be the guy for Detroit. I wouldn't look for him to do what he did in Tennessee just because, Tennessee was so scared of Calvin Johnson that, they were playing everybody deep, and Minnesota's rush defense is 12th. But he does look like he's going to be the guy there. A couple interesting ones, I guess. Jeremy Curley from the Jets. He's on my watch list, and I'm paying attention for him, especially this week, because it looks like Hill did not practice today. They're saying he's iffy, and I think the Jets are going to be coming from behind playing San Francisco. So I think Jeremy Curley might, this might be his week to have a pretty big week, and he's been semi-consistent. And then defenses, I definitely wanted to talk about that a little bit just because, the Steelers are on a bye. So I think Seattle's defense against St. Louis should be very good, and Arizona's defense against Miami. So they were both out there in my league. I kept San Francisco's defense, but I picked up Seattle to start them this week. So and then just pay attention to San Francisco receivers because, Revis he's out. He's gone for the Jets. So they definitely, those receivers might have an easier time in San Francisco getting open.
Most definitely. Everybody, awesome waiver wire picks. I'm going to go around the horn really fast since we're all fantasy football team owners, multiple leagues, or some of us multiple, some of us just one or two. But Thursday night football, starting in week 1 this week, has kicked our ass and has consumed our lives. At least it's done it to me, because you all of a sudden you come out of it and used to have at least a breather for a bunch of weeks where you could get into a rhythm, you can get your lineup into a rhythm, but now you're having to ride that waiver wire. You get your waiver wire stuff on Tuesday, and then you have to turn it over and then look at the injury report and pray to God that everything's all in alignment there. And it's also screwing you up because of you have to play, if you have some good matchups on Thursday, you have to play them, and that might screw you later in the week. So I just wanted to go around and get Prost, dude, my partner, give me your opinion on this whole Thursday night fantasy football craziness.
I'm actually going to look back and see how it affects teams that played the prior Sunday, because ordinarily in the NFL what you have is Monday's your day of rest, Tuesday's film study, Thursday is Wednesday's your weight training and walkthroughs days. Then Thursdays is when they put the game plan in for the week. Well, now you've sped that whole process up, which means your offensive coordinator is not only game planning for Sunday's game, but he's getting a preliminary setup done for Thursday. And depending upon who's playing who on Thursday, you get some nicks and dings that, I could play Sunday if we were playing, but we're playing Thursday. So now your running back, your wide receiver, your quarterback possibly is not going to be able to perform to their top level. They're going to go out there and play because they're going to numb it up. They're going to go out and they're going to perform because they're professionals, and, they don't want to be known as the guy who can't play 4 days later. But does their performance suffer? And does the performance suffer the Sunday before because the offensive coordinator is distracted? So I'm going to see what happens down the road here with teams that are having a short turnaround to play. I'm really curious on how that affects them.
Well, there's one direct one. That's Adam Bradshaw said, I would have played last week, but we had a short week. Played Sunday, Thursday. I'm not ready, dude. It's a huge difference in the fact that if there wouldn't have been the Thursday night football and they would have played Sunday, he would have played, and it has an effect on fantasy because you're still doing what I'm saying. What can Brown do for me?
Yeah, you have to sub him out. You have to put someone else in the game in his place. Exactly.
Cash, what do you think? How's Thursday night football affected your fantasy game?
I don't know if it has a whole lot of impact, but I'm one of those who will sometimes forget to some of my leagues to make the changes because you're just not expecting a Thursday night game. You're like, God, it's too early for this. So you miss the waiver, pick up waiver players and all that, and adjust your settings, and so I do not like it, and I'm with Neil on a number of those points that I don't know how well they perform, the players who perform 5 days ago, and how well they end up doing. So I'm not a big fan of it. I was okay with Saturday games. I was okay with one or two occasional Thursday night games, but every week, no, that's really pushing it.
What do you think, JENILEE?
I'm on the same boat. It's like you have to be very obsessive, because these short weeks, Hakeem Nicks wasn't in last week, and, that was because it was a short week. His foot wasn't feeling good. He knew that they had Philly coming up this week, so he wanted to rest for Philly. And then it's like, what do you do, for instance, this week is a perfect example. The Bears and Dallas play on Monday night. Well, right now it's like they're saying Forte's getting better, but, of course, he doesn't look like he's going to go. Michael Bush has a little bit of a shoulder injury, so they're not sure. what's going on with him. So, then you're stuck to, well, Khalil Bell would be the Bears' next back. And if you have a player, that's playing tomorrow night, are you really going to wait all the way till Monday night to see if, Bush or Forte or people like that can go? So I think that that's what makes it hard is, sometimes you can't wait all the way till, a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, whereas before, you knew if these players were practicing and you knew the odds of them playing a lot better than now. So it's definitely difficult.
So what kind of insider information you have on Matt Forte? Because I heard he might go. You have some insider information there, JENILEE, over there at the Bears? Do you have some insider?
No, just, on the website they were saying that he is getting better. He's getting better faster than expected, but, Lovie Smith said that he still has a ways to go, so how do you take that? Do you take that as, they're saying it's a maybe for Monday, it's possible, but what percentage, of possibility is that? So, it's just, it just makes it hard. I guess you just have to really go with your players that, have a higher percentage of playing or just have more minor injuries, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But, I mean, Bush is the guy to go with, and more than likely he's going because you said it's just a shoulder injury. So, and
I think Lovey's playing games, dude, because you get this, Forte is going to go, plan for Forte, he's going to be our man, because he is a better back than Bush. Bush is the goal line sniper. He's not a full-time back. If the Bears are still bringing in people to see if they can get a better replacement running back. So what is wrong with Forte? Why are you bringing in and trying people out if your guy's coming back?
Right.
So somebody's lying to somebody.
Oh, yeah. It happens on all teams. JENILEE, though, you brought up a good point, though, and it jogged something in my head. The fact that waiting. The whole reason I had the balls and made the balls pick to play Brown on the Giants was because they were playing on a Thursday night. And I figured, well, here's the way it's going to go. I'm either going to get him on Thursday night and he's going to go off, or at least he's going to do decent. I'm going to get quick points on Thursday night. And I think it's changing the dynamic of fantasy football. And because I've talked to other people, and I'm not the only one, you're like, okay, do I want to get on top and get a lot of points and intimidate my opponent, and he's going to start futzing with his lineup on his Sunday lineup, or do I want to play passive and be smart and wait, for a Sunday or Monday thing? And I was aggressive that week, and unfortunately it didn't pay off. But in a few other people I talked to, it paid off for them playing him. I unfortunately played him, and guess who my opponent had? People, Jamal Charles. In the flex position against me. I walked in and I said, Jamal Charles. He sits 2 cubicles from me. I'm like, you son of a... I was like, I had it made. He said to me on Friday, he goes, Brown, really? You put him in? I go, yeah. And then I come back, Jamal Charles. That was it. And that was the deciding points. It was bad. It was bad.
You know what else you want to look at in the Revis fallout is the fact that your slot receivers and your tight ends are liable to have bigger games than you would expect. So keep an eye on those guys against the Jets. Cromartie is serviceable in the corner. He's going to take your number 1. Whoever it is that's behind Revis is going to take number 2 and probably require safety help. When you move that safety over to fill in for the weak link, now you open up the middle. And you're not going to get a linebacker to keep up the likes of Vernon Davis and people like that. And if you get a decent slot receiver, same thing. Linebackers aren't going to make it. Your dime package, the loss of Revis is huge. That's really going to affect the Jets. And hopefully that number 3 guy is a power horse in waiting, because otherwise the Jets are done.
Oh, definitely, man. Jeez. All right. Next, Cash, you said we have a little bit extra time here. Cash, tell us what your your alternative take on the controversial call on Monday night was.
And this, by the way, this has not had anything to do with the fact that I don't like the Packers, but I do respect their organization quite a bit. And I really felt like they've handled this in a very classy way, by the way. But a couple of years ago, you guys remember when had the famous Calvin Johnson no catch at Soldier Field, and I think it was the opener for the Bears, which when he went to his last 30 seconds in the game, Stafford throws it up. I think it was Stafford or Shinehill, I can't remember, but he catches it and, kind of lays out, and just at the end, ball comes out of his hand. And 95% of the people thought it was a touchdown, but the officials ruled it a no catch because you have to go. There was something to the fact that you have to go through the whole act of catching and holding on to the ball, which was the first time I could ever call that call being made. It was a very controversial play.
Oh, yeah. Generally, we don't know anything about this call, do we? Jesus.
Not at all.
Anyway, I love it because, hey,
You really got to bring this up. You're a Bear fan, too, dude. You really got to bring it up, huh?
Yeah, well the reason I bring this up because here's what my thought was, and I think the NFL has acknowledged they made a mistake. I would be curious if the real officials had been there, what would have been their initial call, and what would they, if they had ruled it the same way, what they would have reviewed, and if they gotten the call right, which is ultimately what we want to do. But this is my thought, that MD Jennings catches the ball, and as he's coming down, he is basically a receiver, and he has to show completely catching the ball. I mean, a matter of...
come on.
Well, here's my take, because by the time he's coming down, Golden Tate has his arms in there and all that. All I'm saying is that this rule that they came up with 2 years ago about completing, this is what has kind of really screwed the NFL in terms of their own rules are coming back to bite them a little bit. 5 years ago, no brainer. I mean, this is an interception clearly, but with that Calvin Johnson catch, it put a doubt in my mind as to when I look at this again, and you guys can go back and look at it, as to how long actually Jennings has the ball before Tate goes in, has an arm on it, maybe two on it, and it becomes clear ball. I mean, forget about the fact that he pushed off. That happens a lot in especially in those kind of situations, back and forth, defense and offense. But just go back and look at that play again and think about it.
All right, Neil, what were you saying, man?
Then it's an incomplete pass. If Jennings doesn't have the ball, Tate catches Jennings. Jennings catches ball, Tate catches Jennings, and therefore vicariously Tate catches ball. That's the way I saw it. And if Jennings didn't have possession, Tate clearly did not. If you get a chance, watch, what was it? It's a sports science thing. I think it was on NFL Live. Watch that replay. They actually broke down the whole thing. How Jennings had the ball, and the reason that Tate didn't have the ball because Jennings had two hands on it. Actually, they said wrists and hands brought into his chest, and Tate at one point only had one hand up in the mess, and his right hand came free of the ball. Now, granted, you can make a one-handed catch, but usually not with a defender draped all over the football. The main referees are going to make mistakes. I'd forgotten about that phantom thing with Detroit when I told Greg the Bears were the worst 3-0 team in football, and they went on to prove it. But, they've blown games. They're going to continue to blow games, and it's just what it is. But the problem is the overall inconsistency of these non-professional referees. They're missing off-the-ball stuff. The players are getting in the fist fights because they can. These guys they're not of NFL caliber. No one expected perfect. I don't care who you put out there. You can put the best officiating crew out there, and they will not call a perfect game. But will they be consistent? Will they make the proper calls? Will they follow procedure? Yeah. I mean, there's probably a 10% chance that the real NFL refs would have made that mistake. But I tell you what, your back judge and your side judge would not have been late into the play. After they had conflicting calls, they would have discussed it among themselves. The head referee would have gone back and spoken with them. He wouldn't have gone over to the nudie booth and watched Debbie Does Whatever instead of watching the actual play.
Hey, we got a woman present here, Neil. Come on, man.
That's why I said Debbie does whatever. I left it open. I didn't mention it like an entire city.
Cool. All righty. Anyway, we got to move on to Neil and I got to move on to our injury report and our little face-off that we have every week. Thank you both for calling in. JENILEE, always good information, always good stats. Thank you very much for calling in.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Cool. And Cash, thanks for calling in from the good old Texas there, and good luck this week, and generally good luck to you too. I'll see you at the Bears bar for
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for having me here. It was a great time as always. And just a little shout out to my fantasy football buddies, Reels Mania, Boxer Man, and Rated RX. Have a good night, guys.
Gee, JENILEE.
JENILEE,
do you have any call outs that you need to make? Alrighty. Thanks,
I'd like to thank our listener for tuning in today.
Hey. Anyway, let's move on with the balls to the wall injury report. I got some little bit of news here, Neil. So I want to throw this out to you though. I mean, we only have about 14 minutes here, so I'm going to go quick. What the hell's with this Matthew Stafford situation going on? What the hell's with them not? This pisses me off more than anything when a team won't disclose stuff. And they're like, oh, he's got problems, he's got a strain, he's got this. Because, I mean, I have him, and I wish I could play him, but I went on the waiver wire and got somebody. Andy Dalton was on the waiver wire, so I said, screw you, to Stafford.
The NFL requires a team, if a player seeks treatment for any sort of malady, the team has to determine how severe that malady is, and they're forced to put people on injury report. Get a hangnail or a broken leg, you got to determine their fitness for duty. With a strained upper thigh and buttock, I don't know. It could very well be a day-to-day thing. That he might wake up Sunday and feel great. He might jog around the block homes and whip his glute off. I don't know. It's one of those iffy injuries. The soft tissue injuries are always the hardest to determine. I mean, look, Jennings was out Tuesday, played Sunday. Yeah. There was no way he was going to. He was a scratch for Sunday, and all of a sudden he's in there playing Monday night. So I don't know. It's really tough to gauge that sort of thing. And there you go now on Thursday nights. You've got Stafford as your quarterback, and you've got maybe, I don't know why you would have him, but
Sean Hill. Jeez, God.
Well, no. Okay. Let's just put it this way. You've got Flacco, who I would definitely play anyway.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Or you've got Stafford in a very good matchup. Let's just say Flacco has a so-so matchup, but he's playing on Thursday. You don't have the full information on your Sunday guy, so you go ahead and, screw it. I'm going to put, even though the matchup isn't what I would like, I've got to play my guy on Thursday because I'm not sure my Sunday guy is going to go.
Right.
So you throw in your Thursday guy, then you find out on Saturday afternoon that the guy's the best he's felt in 30 years. He's going to go out and kick everybody's butt, but you've already made the call on your Thursday night football.
That's what I said.
And wasted your guy.
Thursday night drives me nuts. That's what I'm telling you. So let me move on. Matt Forte, JENILEE has some inside information from the Bears website that he might not be going. All the other sports sites are saying that he's a go. So, hey, whoever you trust, go with that. Keep an eye on him. It's probably going to be a game-time decision. Hakeem Nicks should be a go. According to Ebenezer, God, that's a great first name for a reporter. Ebenezer Samuel, the New York Daily News, says the wide receiver feels like he'll be able to return this week. He definitely thinks he's going to suit up for, and his body's feeling good right about now. You have both, we already talked about Bradshaw and his neck and Nicks and his foot. They've both been given the green light. I'm still sticking with Andre Brown. Because I have a feel anybody coming off an injury, as we know in fantasy, limited reps. So I'm going with, and Andre Brown has the hot hands, and Tom Coughlin always goes with the guy with the hot hands. because what's Fumbles' name, Neil? Do you even remember? What's his name?
David Wilson.
What's his name? What's his name? Oh, I think so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but he will not be seeing the field unless there's a major catastrophe in New York.
Yes.
Bradshaw's got his backup in Andre Brown. Even if they split carries, Andre Brown's worth hanging on to.
Because he's working the line.
Keep him on the sideline because Bradshaw's going to go down again.
Yep. Ramses Barden.
It's like a $20 hooker.
Yep, and Ramses Barden, I wouldn't count him out either, but I'd play him flex. I definitely wouldn't play him as a starter. Nix, after he came off his injury a few weeks ago, went batshit on, excuse me, kids, on my team, and that's why I'm saying that word, because that's exactly what he did to my team. Steven Jackson.
Fall away. He'll be an also-ran in 3 weeks.
Who?
Barton, he's done. As soon as they get healthy at receiver, he'll be an afterthought.
You think so?
He's a one-hit wonder.
All right.
Yeah, Barton won't hang around.
We're Ebert and SISKEL, people. Take your views as you will. Steven Jackson on the Rams failed to participate this week again. We saw him last week. If you watched the Bears, or a Bears fan or a Rams fan, and you watched that game, sitting there with a big, huge thing of ice on his leg every single time he went out of bounds. So I'd go with the rookie. I would definitely go with the rookie on that one, if you have the opportunity. C.J. Spiller is still up in the air, and it's driving me crazy. And I picked up Tashard Choice. And it's another situation like that. He has an AC joint sprain, which, according to the medical report that I saw online, he gets jacked on that thing again, he's going to be wailing in pain. So and all he has to do is get hit on it once, and then they're going to put Tashard Choice in anyway. So it's another situation like that. So
they're saying Fred Jackson's got a small chance of coming back too. So who knows what they're going to be doing in Buffalo.
Yeah, I like Tashard Choice as the sure pick, but take it as you will, as always. Jamal Charles was a stud last week, as we all know. Peyton Hillis was removed from the game because of an ankle injury, and he hasn't been running very well anyway, so I wouldn't play him. Dexter McCluster was injured in the game, suffered a elbow injury that's expected to keep him out for a few weeks. And Pierre Garçon, no word yet. He still has his foot problem. Jeremy Maclin is pretty much back, but the offense is pretty offensive, if you ask me. So yes. I wouldn't go with that. The big news that came out late today was Beanie Wells. You heard about this, Neil?
Yeah, IR.
IR for turf toe. For turf toe, with an opportunity to possibly come back. Your turf toe's got to be pretty damn severe if it's going on the IR. That's reserved.
The new rule lets you do that now.
Right.
The new rule is put the guy on IR, but unfortunately, by the time you bring him back, your fantasy season's over. So Beanie Wells is a scratch for everybody. He won't be back in time to save your fantasy team.
And I also wouldn't take the backup because with the running game with him. Hasn't been spectacular, and his backup hasn't been spectacular either, has he? So no. Stick with the Arizona defense. Stay away from the Arizona offense. So, who won last week in our Big Balls Challenge, Neil?
Oh, I whooped you into next week.
You did.
Your balls turned out you were getting 2 points a player outside of RG3. You went far into the ball scale, and it didn't pan out for you last week.
Yeah.
RG3 still won the pony race. In fact, Locker put up respectable numbers for a change, but RG3 still has a 30-point lead on him and is winning 3-0 as far as that battle goes. But we're 1-2. I'm on my way back, so look out.
Cool. We got 6 minutes. Give us your lineup really quick. Go straight out, dude.
Touch before, Matt Castle against San Diego and Y. I'm actually going to go with Cedric Benson because I think the Packers might try to have a running game.
He did good last week. He was one of the shining moments of that game, dude.
I don't know why you would have a Packer running back, but I'm going to give him a try. I like Mario Manningham going in the slot for San Francisco against, like I said, that decimated Jet defense.
And
GENILEE is going to go off.
Mm-hmm.
Manningham would be the guy. Going to take the Minnesota defense. They played a heck of a game, which I probably won't repeat next week, but they are playing against I'm sorry, I got the wrong thing. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Minnesota's tight end, who's been performing well.
Yeah, I was going to say. They have the hot tight end. They do not have the hot defense right now.
No. The tight end's rolling, and they're against Tennessee, and I gave you my theory on the Titans. Detroit didn't exploit it. I think Minnesota will, but Titans have a problem defending tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Kansas City's defense against the Chargers. I just don't trust the Charger offense. And Kansas City's defense is nothing to write home about, but I'm going to give them a shot. And here is the ballsiest pick of the week. I'm taking a kicker who's perfect. He's 1 for 1 in 3 games of field goal attempts and has 7 extra points. That would be Medlock, the kicker for Carolina, only because I think Carolina's got a chance of playing the shootout game with Atlanta and their risky defense, but they don't have enough horses to get in the end zone, but they will get in field goal range.
Cool. Good lineup, dude. I'm going with RG3, of course, since he was the only guy that scored for me apparently last week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the MVP was actually Turner from Atlanta, who, he's learning how to drink and drive, I guess. So
yeah.
Good for him, wow. Don't do that, children.
No. Definitely. Everybody call a cab. Or if you're a football player, the company supplies the vehicle. I'm going with running back Mikel LaSure. I'm going against what JENILEE said, and I think he's going to keep banging it through the line there in Detroit. I think...
He's got a tough matchup this week.
Huh?
He's got a tough matchup this week.
I know, but I'm riding him.
That's why you have balls.
That's why I got balls. I'm also making another probably horrible ballsy based on the stats. I am going with Tennessee's wide receiver Nate Washington at wide receiver. Hoping at least I hope he at least catches it. Yeah, they definitely will. Tight end, I'm going with Bennett out of on the Giants, who I picked up on my waiver wire on 2 of my teams, and I think is going to do good this week. Sticking with the Giants, I am going with 5 for 5 last week, and most picked up kicker last week in fantasy, Lawrence Tynes, of course. And the D I'm going with is, and you tell me, also the most picked up defense. I'm going to go with Arizona.
Nice.
Yeah. So hopefully we can have a good mano. We got 3 minutes left, dude. You have any last thoughts going into next week?
Yeah, like I said, the bye weeks are a crutch, but they're also an opportunity. Keep an eye on that waiver wire. Snatch people up off of it. Granted, if you have a superior team, you probably don't need the player. So if you're in a position to do some sniping off the waiver wire, it's probably because your team sucks. So if you can improve it by stealing other people's players off the waiver wire, it's gonna bring you up in the standings.
Yeah, you definitely have people that drafted like 5 running backs in flex leagues and went, I've got all these guys, I got them all saved up. They got to drop one of them, and one of them is going to be of value. So, you have to look at all of the opportunities that are out there on the waiver wire, exploit the fact that you have some maybe novice players that don't know what they're doing, and drop a Ryan Matthews onto the waiver wire. I know I've mentioned that. This is the 3rd time I'm mentioning it, but I can't believe he was sitting out there. I was befuddled. So, that's it, dude. We got a minute to go. We got enough time to play the theme. All right, man? Take it easy, dude. Yeah, man. All right. That's PROST.
All right. Good night.
Good night, guys. Good luck. Have a good time this week playing, man. Later.
Yep.
Excuse me. popsicles. There are big bright balls, and there are little meatballs. Dicks have drive and clarity of vision.
The most important piece of equipment is called the cup. Now, it ain't no Dixie cup, it ain't no coffee mug, and you certainly won't want to be drinking nothing out of it.
Hey, any balls down there? That's the biggest berry you ever seen, Dingleberry.
Wow, I play with these balls all day.
Well, it's my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.